And like some things that I'm very interested in, like on your show, right, in particular, is that you're very good at like like discovering the troll, right, and like knowing his intentions, and then also talking about like the psychology and the pain of what a baller must go through, and
Hmm.
why they have to behave in such a dishonest and grabbler type way, you know?
Right.
And so like I do enjoy that, a lot of that about your show. And then I also like it when you get like spiritual, because I know that you have like a sensitive spirit, right? And that you have like a long like your journey isn't just straight to Jesus. It's a long journey around, And
Yeah.
viewers, because I want my viewers to know that whatever condition you are in and whatever you are doing with your life, you can always come to Jesus, at that point, and then work on it.
Look, every time, especially when things get kind of pressured on me, or when I've like stopped getting really screamy, which I never do in the presence of anybody else, by the way. Make sure of that. But yeah, afterwards, it's quite common that I quickly invoke Jesus. Yes, definitely go to him because it's just like I know. No, I'm not doing it as a that stuff doesn't it just overcomes me, you know?
Right.
Like an impulse from the inside. And I'm glad that I have enough faculties left to me that I don't do something stupid because of it.
Right.
Because that way back in the past, that did happen a couple of times. So
Well,
not really bad, but just bad enough that I would just be nasty to people, like a bully, like that. But yeah, like I'm trying not to be too ballers, you know? It's
right.
that thing has can slide pretty far, and sometimes over the internet it leads to me like turning into like a persecutor all of a sudden, getting really, yeah, like like choking. I don't know, it's almost like a forced choke or something. I do that, but in real life, no, I that's I walk away now. I learned that to walk away.
Right. Like it's almost like when you were talking the other day about, it's almost like if you choose the left or you choose the right, it's like you can choose what's good or choose what's bad or whatever, but you're still in the game, you know? And when you made that revelation that, maybe we just supposed to just not engage, just not be involved, it really reminded me of Jesus saying how we need to be separate from the world. Because whatever you
Hmm.
choose, you're still in the game.
Right, because if you take an opposition side to some subject that arrives, then yeah, you become polarized against the subject, but you still become polarized. So that drains your energy, that relays your focus into that subject, and basically spending that. Yeah, it's a two-way street.
Yeah.
When you do it, you do get to see a lot more details and you can figure out, okay, this is an illusion, that is true, this is how it's being arranged. You learn much more about it. But if you hadn't engaged, then you could have spent all that energy and focus on something else. See?
Mhm.
Potentially.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if you really have nothing better to do or you can't figure it out, then yes, doing that, sure, why not, you know? But if you were just about to do something really great and then this distracted you from that, now then it's more, yeah, it's terrible. And this happened to me many times in my life with other type of thing. Well, with conspiracy subjects as well. It really did isolate me, but yeah, it's a natural consequence. Like I had to get informed. It was all about like biting through things that I didn't really want to know, mostly. That it just like I had to figure out like how much of it is real and how what not, and just what it does to people. So I got into that. I got into Alex Jones, which was really good back then, still, although very fear porny. but
Yeah, now he,
but still, with legitimate concerns. So
yeah.
so that's it. And
I
but
mean,
yeah, that did distract me from basically choosing a more grounded life, because it isolated me, and connections at a certain age is what you need to basically get into careers, and I didn't because of it.
well, see, like with Alex Jones, right? Like when, like back in
Yep.
2007, 2008, I really got into him, and
Mhm.
I'm not so much into him now, but I'll tell you what, like he tells enough truth, right, to get you in, right? And the only problem with Alex, I think, right, is that he stays at that very first level of truth, and he stays
Yeah.
mad about it. Like he wants to get you all pumped up about it, like, oh, these people are liars. Look, here's the proof. These people are liars. They're doing this and that, right? And you're like at that first level of truth, and it's like there's many, many more layers, right? Like, how do you stay so pumped up and energetic about that first layer? Like there's
Well,
like several layers, but he's very good, I think, at getting you woken up.
what his shtick is, what his real talent is using all his energy to get through to people that are really hard to get through to, that
Yeah,
have missed out in their youth of that really serious turn talking to by their parents. And especially in America, but in the whole Western world now, there's a lot of those.
yeah,
So he still serves a function. But yeah,
yeah,
because of everything, all the narratives that he's latched onto it, and this Steve keeps on weaving, yeah, it's a double-edged sword because of that. It will also, yeah, it's also kind of programming. So he's
yeah.
pulling people out of the darkness, but at the same time, he's them giving them like specific tools, like programming them for special purposes in the future, basically.
And see, like I always used to view it, Arwen, like a video game, and there's levels, right? Your first level is Alex Jones, right? And he's the first boss of the first level, and you go in there and you get all the information from him, and then you beat the boss, and then you go to that next level, you're like you're David Icke or whatever, or whoever's next. And then you go to like, then you find Savanier, and then like the
Eric
third level,
Dubay, you mean?
more truth. Yeah, and then like you go to that next layer, of truth, and it's like I view it like a level, like like you could be like halfway awake and not all the way awake. And I even went down that rabbit trail of wondering if Jesus was real. Like I watched all those videos, and I wish I hadn't, but at least I know now after doing the research that that Jesus is the Lord, and that feels good to know that. I feel that's the final level of truth, for everybody. But who knows, right?
Well, in a way, yeah, I guess I understand what you mean. Although it is kind of, yeah, it's not really part of the game in a way.
Right. It's
The
they
earth is the game. Everything is happening is the game, but Jesus is kind of like, yeah, you can already reach out to it. And then,
that
yeah, it is safe. Like things that entangle you, that get you caught up, don't really matter so much, don't drag you down. So, yeah, in that sense, especially spiritual, non-earthly, it makes absolute sense. And yeah, I feel it like that. You need to be reminded sometimes, because in the earth, when you love things, when you love people, or you love style, when you love things of the earth, and it's natural. Everybody does it. Not like you don't have, not talking about getting obsessed, but if you just love things, then you get caught up in these things and you lose track. You start to sacrifice more and more for what you love, and you get all hyper focused, and then you kind of lose track by accident of that things aren't really that, yeah, that there's like an overarching structure that that really, in reality, it isn't really that bad, most likely, even if you don't have all the no's, because that is what yeah, what reality really shows you when you really look.
Right.
But you gotta have seen that first,
Well, what do you
and
think
then you
about
have to remember.
like what do you think about I've been watching Quantum of Conscious
Mm.
a little bit, and I really like his work. He's a talented person,
Oh
and
yeah.
he has very good presentation. And he was like um opening the idea of like, well, maybe reality just really isn't real. Like maybe like these all these fake news events and all these hoaxes or overreactions or lockdowns,
Hmm.
like maybe it's not done by people that just sit on the john like you and me. That was one of his quotes, like a regular person, right? Human person, right? Now how do you subscribe to that a little bit? Like,
A regular person. Well, I'm not that.
you know what I mean?
You
Like
know,
maybe.
but he likes to introduce like the holographic matrix like reality conception of it. But I'm not going with that. No, it is still all people, but these people have just migrated in their minds to whole other priorities, and they're just caught up in this, and they've looked away to a lot as to what they're really doing. So they effectively don't really realize the consequences and the depth of what they're all doing. They just try to follow a plan or a contract or with whatever motivates them, could be anything.
Is that what you think the ballers are doing? Like they're just so into it that they're just motivated by that,
Yeah,
and they don't know that
they're in
like they
love.
really, yeah.
Only being in love could make somebody that nasty.
Yeah. Wow, I never really thought of that in that way. That love can really make you do some crazy things.
Right. And it would
You
feel
know?
justified.
And see, like I was talking to a baller the other day, and I debate these guys in chat, and I debate Mick Toon a lot on a Facebook chat, and so I'm really sharpening up my skills, but I'm always typing. I never really do debates, like vocal debates. But I was talking to this one baller, and he's like, well, show me the proof of flat earth, and I said, with everything that's out there, right, there's all this information. If you haven't come to flat earth yet, then you probably have some kind of like special a mental need, like a higher level of teaching that I can't give you, because if you're not there yet, then maybe I can't teach you, maybe you have some kind of disability or something, like was that fair to say? Like,
Well, they would, if you say disability, then most, especially ballers,
would be
but
offended.
most people will see that as a mental disability. But that's not really what it is. It's it's the heart. It's they just can't. It's like an growing up. They just can't do it. They can't do it. They think
And
it'll feel like they would lose everything. They can't go there. I had that many times myself, and I would even like peek over the line. So my mind could peek over the line while my heart would disbelieve it and stay in place, as it were. So it's an odd way to describe it, but that's what it is. My consciousness could in the moments realize this is true, but I can't handle it. So after this, I will forget it again, but in the future, it'll come back and then I'll be ready. I would say that literally in that moment. And then the next day, I would just not really remember it. And if people reminded me about it, I would get angry. Really.
wow.
Yeah.
And see, there was a point well, one thing I wanted to bring up was that, like, in a debate with, I think it was Nathan Thompson and some other baller, like, one of his proofs, like in debate was that Admiral Byrd had a globe on his desk. I'm like, what kind of evidence is that to bring to a scientific debate, Like, it really comes down to that, that like you're like, well, Admiral Byrd had a globe, so he's obviously not a flat earther, and it's like, well, so what? You know what I mean? But they look at that as a proof, but then on the other hand, I remember being like believing in all this stuff and being fascinated by space, and it was real in my mind. Like I really, like I could see things that way. I can even see things as an atheist, you know? Like how could God be exist because everything just happened naturally, you know? And because they're so good at reverse engineering everything to make it look like it happened the other way around, you know? And so, but now that I'm on the other side, it's obvious that the Earth is flat. Like it's obvious we're in a little living environment with a little sun and moon that are the same size, and it's
Oh,
obvious we're not moving, you know?
right. Same size. Here we go. I really don't see it like that anymore. It's just light.
Yeah,
You
true.
know,
It is a
it,
physical thing, you know?
but I get your point. But it's like only the first comparison to me because for me, seriously, the world is very surreal
It
in
is.
many ways, but like really, really surreal. And it's not because I smoke cannabis.
Right. I don't smoke, and
It
I agree.
actually gets weirder when I stop smoking cannabis. Because then I clear up even further.
Yeah, it's like there's all these weird anomalies, you know? You're like, well, that's a head scratcher, you know? Like,
Yeah.
how-
And I'm not forgetting them, you know? It's like back in the past when I was still a baller and I was dealing with many ballers that were used to they had the memory hole effect already pretty much. It's like it was already kind of common when I was like after my 20s. That was already kind of common in a way before 9/11 even happened. And yeah, because you get associated with so many people that do that, when something is really out of place, you just forget about it. You see?
yeah,
And it's normal because nobody is then like, hey, remember that? No, because everybody's used to kind of sort of doing that, even with little things, especially with little things that they can't place. But now, I remember, yeah, it's like, no, everything that is perceived is real. I just have to figure out what is real about it, what it is. Like, is it what are hallucinations? What is it exactly? What
right.
is
What
like the dark world view thing? What is it exactly? Like, I'm just condensing it further, just
right.
making yeah, leaving nothing without structurization in a way, you know, except
Right?
for the creator himself, because that is yeah, that is all. Literally.
It's like the creator can break the rules, you know? It's
I
like
don't know. No, I don't think so. The creator is the rules,
that's
and
right.
he
Yeah.
doesn't break them. Everything is accounted for throughout all time.
You're very that's a see, I never really thought about it that way either, you know? Like I did always believe that there had to be a way, right? A structure that like in order to be holy, it has to be a certain way, you know? And like when Jesus came down, right? He could have just said, "Hey, you guys are all off the hook, you know, for your sinful condition, and I'm going to just stop everything right now, and you can go to heaven." Yeah, he could have done that, right? But would he still be holy? He would be shady because he's really letting us off the hook. But instead, he left the punishment and penalties on us, right? And then took the punishment for us, and so the price was still paid to keep him holy and to clean us to be with him, right? And also redeemed us as well, you know. And you're right. It's like he did go by the rules, you know.
Of course, because otherwise it doesn't work if you don't. And that is something that the controllers and the devils just can't handle. They can't handle that they cannot really they can bend the rules slightly, but they can never break it. And when you bend it, that means that at some point it'll bend back. And they can't stand it.
So here's my question, right? Like we know that NASA, right, is like I mean they're obvious liars. They fake everything, right? If you see somebody on wires, I don't know how you can deny that, you know. There's so many uh different ways to point out fraud, you know. But like
Hmm.
do you think people look at CERN the same way? Like do people think like, you know,
Oh,
or
yeah. Oh, yeah. For a long time. There were suspicions and conspiracy theories concerning CERN since it came into being. You know, there's so many weird things that they did and all that, the freaking ceremonies. It's just,
yeah.
yeah. There's a lot of intelligent people kind of have suspicions about it. Yes.
And see, like I always view that side, right? Because like you brought up the ceremonies and everything. I always view that side, right? Is like they know God exists. They come off as an atheist, but they're really satanic, you know. And instead of like like instead of them wanting us to be satanic with them, they want us to be atheists, so that we don't have our power in Christ, and so that we don't have our power with them. They want us to have nothing in the middle, and that's the weird.
That's an interesting thing to say, because in a way you could even consider that the ceremonies function that way. That people that are part of it all, or that are there, basically by being presented by these weird ritual thingies, get a choice. Either they take it as an atheist and they just don't believe it means anything, and then they're kind of safe, they can still go along to get along. Or they're like, yeah, we know it's real, and we're Satanists, ha ha ha, and nobody knows it, and the atheist thinks it's all fake, ha ha ha. Or or you realize like this is actually poisoned. This is a tainted ordeal, and then you must step away. See?
Yes,
Isn't that
absolutely.
interesting how that works? You could say the same thing for like pop music and even the Super Bowl in between shows and all that.
There
It's
are
like you're
I
being confronted with these things, and then your spirit in that moment is being presented with a choice
right.
in how
It's
to
like
regard it. See?
ceremony, you know. It's
Right.
like everything is ritual, you know, and it
Yeah,
does
but what
offer.
is it a ritual of? Is it a ritual of those things? Or is it a ritual of a spirit and a mindset and an idea and a will that is being imposed symbolically? And that, yeah, and
I
that
do.
people, I think it's that, it's not really about the things and about what they wear. No, it's about this, what is behind all that.
Well, see, I believe that, right? That it's something imposed on them, that they're acting in a very spiritual way, and they have a spirit in them that that that's a representation of that, right? But I also think, and this is another kind of good, like I wouldn't say proof, but good evidence of a creator, right? Is that it seems that the evil um on the earth has to kind of let you know, right? Like we're we're offering this up and showing you what we're gonna do to you, and we need your consent to like they want us to consent to it, whatever they are planning, right? And then it's like it's on us. It's our responsibility now. And they get some kind of karmic release out of it.
Right. Well, it makes perfect sense. Hey, what's that? This cat just came walking in. Okay.
I love animals, man. You know?
But yes, but it
Yeah.
is effective though, you know? In a way, I do that myself. In a way, conspiracy people do that. You go to a person, you tell them, look, lady, man, mister, this is really what's going on in a way. You try to break it carefully or you try to break it hard. And then it's up to them if they accept it, or if they reject it. So, and then it's on them really. Then you can get all angry if they don't accept it, but technically you should let it go because, yeah, that's it. That's the effect. And the controllers, the Satanists, you could say, they do the same thing, but with another angle to it, with another goal. Not to spread the truth, but to program.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I
Interesting.
agree. It is. And like I think that they do use hypnotism a lot, like with the television, because I notice a lot of like, and I brought this up to Tom, in today's show, and because we ended up doing the show after your show, and I brought it up to him that like, what about all these spinning graphics on television? There's all these spinning graphics and flashing lights, and it's like,
Ah, that's all seizure. That's all seizure effects, and that's kind of for a specific target audience as well, because yeah, vaccines, you know, typical vaccine damage is also seizures and epilepsy-like side effects. So it actually plays in on that target group. It's incredibly complicated how it all works and how vast it is, really, the effects, what they do.
Well, see, like we know that like hypnotism is a real thing, right? You know, you can almost you can demonstrate it, right? But here's the thing, right? It's like not everyone is affected by it. Like there is a certain segment of people that you just can't hypnotize them, you know, for some reason or another. And I wonder if like while we're watching these, you know, television programs or you know when we used to or whatever we do now, like maybe that is affecting a large amount of the population, but some of us just don't get, you know, just it just doesn't work on us or something. And whenever you bring up the truth, it's not that they don't believe you, it's just that they don't want to hear it. They want to stay with the herd. It makes them feel safer to be with the majority, you know?
Right. Right, so they put it down the memory hole. They're not ready. Basically, they're doing it right, only they should still respond to it in some way, even though they can't let it penetrate their full consciousness. But it is kind of like what I described, you know? It's like, I know I'm not ready for this, so I'm gonna forget about it, but I know in the future I must deal with that, right? And
Yeah.
there's people now that in their own way kind of do that as well when they first get confronted with it. You know, a lot of people did get confronted with flat Earth years ago, and then they pop onto the scene. It's like, yeah, it's taken some time, but I think I'm ready for this now. You know?
Like what surprised me a lot about Flat Earth, right, was the amount of dishonesty and and you know, it's like
What do you
I
mean?
thought yeah, I thought that people would see that, hey, wait, there's look at this new information. Like really the internet, you know, came out like really strong in like the early mid 90s, and you know, then it got better and better and better, and YouTube came out, and really by around 2006, 2007 there was a lot of videos out. At that point you can type in anything and you would get something, you know. And so like really from 2006 and all the way till 2020 or say 2015, right? Um, a lot of scrutinizing to a lot of data to a lot of videos led us to like, wow, NASA is fake. There's people that can scrutinize that data, and you can really come to the conclusion that the Earth is flat. Maybe do a couple of real tests in the real world to confirm it, you know. But
Hmm.
like you would think that someone would see that information and say, wow, I got to change my mind about everything and you know learn about that, you know. But some
No, of course not. These are
right,
all people. Look how many people, because of just what they do, they get invested. They built a satellite once, or they really like the friends, you know, they got to know from that course one time, and they are really fans of space or science fiction. You know, it's people are invested, especially if you're making a lot of money. You know,
yeah, exactly. If you're making like satellites or stuff for space or
exactly.
well, you know what? Like the this is what bothered me the other day. I was watching Ranties when he had everybody on there kind of arguing, you know, and it was a kind of a good show. It was kind of like Jerry Springer, but you know, I was entertained. But um, someone brought up the idea of like, hey, told Phil Bell, you know, hey, look up the definition of a virus. You're wrong, right? And he says, no, I'm not going to look up the definition. I'm educated, you know, and I'm like, that is a horrible answer. Like, if you were really a smart person, right, you would want to know if what you're saying is true, right? But they don't. They appeal to that education. They appeal to that authority.
Well, he was obviously scared. That's the
Yes.
only reason to say something like that. He was scared of like, oh my God, the government will is watching. You know, he's from England, right?
Yeah, he
Well,
is.
England is now under mind control attack very heavily. You know, it always was to some degree, but now with the they are getting a real psychological pounding with the 5G towers and all the nonsense policing, you know. So yeah, a lot of people then get really nervous and they know, oh, there's something wrong with viruses, but if I'm going to search it, then I'll be tagged and they'll come after me. You know, that's that's the control system fully engaged,
It's
basically
just,
through
it's
them.
so
They are
amazing.
censoring themselves.
Well, it's so amazing that they could put something on TV and say, "Hey, this is a virus. This is contagious. Uh, this is what it'll do to you." Right? They could teach you all that stuff, and they could say from a big title agency like, "Oh, we're from the CDC or whatever," and people believe it, right? And call you stupid for not believing it, right? Like that's what I always hated about being, just being a little smarter than the average person, is like I'm always explaining things to people, and then when I bring something up, I could be right, but they look at me like I'm the idiot. They
Everybody
want to,
hates a smart ass.
yeah, no, why is that?
Well, because it's, you know, ignorance is bliss. That's why.
Yeah,
It's that simple. So a
it's
smart ass is gonna ruin people's dreams. It's gonna make things too real for comfort. It's been
yeah.
my problem all my life. Well, even though I didn't always get things right, but I tried, you know.
And then you try to explain it to people, and when they don't understand, right, they call you a dumbass, even though you are the smarter person. You know, and then not only that, but it's like they're
So
with the majority, so they have the crowd against you. Like you're dumb, man. We believe in TV, man. Not everybody's not after us.
right.
We,
Well, then they're just weak. They can't
right?
handle it. It's time to walk away.
Yeah,
That's that's what
you
I do.
gotta because like the reason that we have problems in this world is because people reject the truth. If everyone accepted the truth for the way, because there's no condemnation in the truth, it just is what it is, right? We have a creator. Some people might not like certain things about the rules, right? but
Mhm.
but you're not the boss. It's not our world, right? Like that's easy for me to accept, you know
Oh yeah, well there's a whole category of people which will, yeah, their neck hairs will go up just by hearing you say that, and that's like, no way,
right.
nobody's my boss. It's that simple, you know?
It's crazy how narrow the truth really is, you know because a lot of people want to believe, hey, I could choose my truth, you know what I mean? Like this is your truth, this is my truth, and
Right.
I'm going to go down my path. But it's like, yeah, you can live any fantasy you want. You have the free will to do that, right?
Mhm.
But it's not the truth, and it comes with consequences.
Right. Well, yeah, it's up to them. You
Yeah,
can't make somebody accept the truth.
you can't, and it only bothers me with somebody I love because I'm like really working hard on trying to get them. But it's like seems like the harder you try, the more they reject it.
Right. But that's also, again, falling back to what we talked about earlier, it's a matter of time. So,
Yeah,
and so are you doing the right thing by trying to push it through to somebody? Or are you actually not taking care of your problem, which is that you don't have the patience to give it time?
that's right. You're right. I should be just planting seeds and then waiting for things to happen naturally.
Right. And pay attention, you know, like taking care of a plant. It's slow, but yeah, if you pay some attention, you may see some issues and account for it here and there, you know, just little details, and it'll do great. So the trick is not to overdo it,
Yeah,
not to give it too much attention. It just requires mostly time and
that's a
care,
great.
careful
That's
care.
that's actually a great analogy with the plant. It takes care. It takes a routine, and it's slow.
Yeah.
Man, I really appreciate you coming on, man. We did a nice 30-minute, talk, and I really appreciate that. And
Yeah, it was great. I
then
enjoyed it.
you ever need, me and Tom to come on the show, we'll do that, if you'd like. If
All
you
right,
think,
I'll keep that in mind, definitely. Especially if I have specials that in the evening that are very rare, by the way.
right,
But
it's hard to do more than one show, you know. But
I
you're
got
on
three
everything,
Night Owl shows, or was it four? I don't know. I'm over 510 early bird shows, but I got only like not even a handful of Night Owl shows.
right? Right. Well, you're a part of a lot of other people's shows, you know. You like you're definitely a character out there. You know, you have some fame, you know, and
I
like
know.
I'm not saying it's huge, but it is there. You have your own lore and everything, you know.
Right.
And I
Well,
think
I,
that,
I am I'm active whether I'm on a panel speaking or whether I'm in chat. So yeah, I've been a lot
yeah,
of active over at 24/7 Flat Earth Discord. Well, I have joined Jose's occasionally, but not so much anymore. Ranty, of course, but I don't go there anymore now. And Flat Earth debates, yeah, every day as well, as long as it's running. And beside that, yeah, you can find me all over the place in chats
yeah.
because I spend a lot of time on the internet these days.
I think it will pay off in the end. I think it will pay off. But when you're building something for yourself, sometimes it's slow, like you said, like a plant, you know. But
Right.
sometimes we want it to happen now, you know. But
I know. I just have to make sure that I keep watering it enough and that
I
I don't get depressed from it taking so long. That is kind of a good metaphor of my situation. But I have trust. And I am
yeah,
already seeing that some seeds are springing and there's like activity. I can already see that it is going somewhere.
it
Well,
is.
it's maybe even it's much more than that, you know? I'm definitely noticing my presence on the internet and yeah, up to pretty freaky levels even, as I if maybe remember the
Maybe,
weird synchronicities and all that.
but when you get the trolls right, that you've reached a certain level of fame, right? You're like, now I have trolls, you know, and you know it seems overwhelming, and it's like, and it seems like
No, no way.
it,
Trolls are a minor nuisance, really,
yeah, that's good. That's good. I'm glad that you see it that way, you know, because
because
like
even if they
sometimes
get really perverted, it's not that much of a hassle because then it's just ban and there is no bad consequence. You know, it's just yeah, of course you ban it. They can do nothing after that. It's really the naggy ones that are always on the borderline. You know, those are the annoying ones. But
yeah.
no, there's only a few people that can actually have yeah a real troll spirit to keep doing that. Thank God it's not everyone.
Exactly. If you wonder what's wrong with these people, like why would you want to spend all your day somewhere where they're talking about something you hate? You know what I mean? Like why don't you just go to Simon Dan and watch his stuff, you know? Like why are you here trying to disrupt what we're doing and trying to control our information and direction, you know? Like what's the use of that? Like psychologically, you know?
Squirting. It's just squirting is what Owen Benjamin calls it, and I totally agree. It's they're basically bored and they don't want to do something useful with their time. And I was kind of like that a lot back in the day. Had a lot of problems with that. Yeah, and as I said, I was a squirter back in the day. It's not a pleasant existence, I can tell you, right? Uh, and that it degrades over time. So yeah, some of these people have done that most of their lives, and then when you make a mistake, you don't recognize the mistake, you become the mistake, literally. So that's what they end up becoming.
Wow. Amazing stuff. But no matter where you are in life, you can always, you know, come to Christ and start and get better. And you
You
know, I'm
can
proud of it.
always reach up. You can always try to reach up.
And spiral up in an upward direction. Don't spiral down. You know. And I'm really proud of where you're at. You know, and I think that it's going to get better. You know, whether we're in the end times or not, there's going to be benefit at the end of the rainbow. You know.
I don't
But
know about end times, but I do know about Revelation
yeah,
and the apocalypse, which means the revealing, right? And
Yeah,
I really feel that that is upon us. And I'm not
it,
talking about people's activity on the internet even. I think the spirit was there, and the internet is basically just another ladder for us to climb there. But that moment in time is here, I think, where
yeah,
we ascend in consciousness, where we start to oversee things more, most of us, or
yeah,
well, more than before.
right. I agree. I
Yeah.
agree. All right, well, let's just round out. I'll just say goodbye to everybody and thanks for listening. And if you're listening to this and you're not subscribed to Arwin, go subscribe to the Arwin channel. It's ARWIJN, and it's a Flat Earth Early Bird show. It should pop up on your search and subscribe. I had a pleasant conversation, and I hope we can do it again.
Subscribe to Good Servant too.
I got
Okay.
it's
Okay.
because I got to go back to this page to get the prayer. That's the thing.
Yeah, I know
That's
it's recording now.
all right. Hold on, I'm screwed up here. Okay. I'd like to say out there to anybody listening that if you heard something today that you know hits your heart in a way where you feel like you want to be saved, um, and go to the afterlife. Um, it doesn't matter what we've done in our lives. Jesus Christ paid the price for our sins, no matter how big or small that they are. And, there's salvation for everybody, and it's a gift. But in order to get that gift, you got to ask for it. And here's a start. I would say read Romans 10:9. That's a good start. And say this prayer with us right now. Dear Heavenly Father, I turn to you today. I repent of all my sins. I believe that your Son, Jesus Christ, died on the cross for my sins and was resurrected to life on the third day. And forevermore he lives. Father, I ask of you to baptize me with the Holy Spirit right now. Change my heart and renew my spirit. I invite you, Jesus, to enter into my heart. Change me, save me, and be the Lord of my life. Right now, in your mighty name, I pray. Amen.
Amen. Awesome,
Right,
bro.
guys, God bless the audience. Leave comments in the comments section about things you want us to discuss, or if you want to come on the show, leave something that you want to talk with us about on the show. And we'll see you later. See you later, Tom. Have a good one,
See
guys.
you, man. Peace
You, my
out.
brother. All right, peace.